Hello and welcome to this week's Wednesday workshop with me, Bruce McLaughlin. This week we're going to be looking at the making of lists. No. I don't mean shopping lists. And no, I don't really mean lists that you create on your computer or smartphone either. No, this week we're going to be looking at lists in an Excel spreadsheet. So to keep life simple and straightforward, let's move across to a spreadsheet and I'll show you exactly what it is I'm talking about. Monday, Tuesday. Gee, I wish there was a quicker way of doing all this typing. Let me stop you there, because there is a better way. Type Monday just like you did last time. Now, instead of carrying on to type Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc., look what happens if I move my cursor into the corner of that box. You see it changed to a black cross. Now if I click and drag down, Excel will recognise that I'm starting a list that's well known. In this case it's the days of the week. So it is automatically assumed that I want Tuesday to follow Monday and Wednesday to follow Tuesday. And it creates that list for me. And if I want to look at more than 1 week, what will happen is it'll simply repeat. So if I drag down for another 7 cells, it will repeat those 7 days of the week and again until you've completed, let's say you're doing a month's worth of data, so you need 31 days. Exactly the same will work for any form that Excel will recognize as a list. For example, if we were to put the 1st of June as a date in this cell, we can do exactly the same and we can copy that down, and you'll notice that it immediately follows that same format and takes us from the 1st of June to the 14th of June. The same will work with months of the year. January, that will create a list. January, February, March, April, May, and even better, maybe you don't want to write the full month, you'd like to write it shorter. If I just put Jan, then Excel will follow that short 3-letter code and will insert Jan, Feb, Mar, April, if that's the right pronunciation, May, June, etc. Incidentally, whilst we're looking at lists, let's show you another little couple of tricks that you can work in Excel. I've arranged my days and my dates across the page in this particular spreadsheet. Let's say, for example, I'm creating a register. Now, if all I'm putting is a simple tick underneath each of these columns, that's quite a lot of wasted space. So there's a way that we can change this so that we can make our columns much narrower. It's got a two-step approach. First of all, I'm going to click in these cells here and highlight all the text that are across both of these rows. Then can you see this little icon up here that's got an A and a B and an arrow? With this I can alter the direction of the text. So I click my down arrow and let's say that I want to rotate the text so that it's straight down. There we are. I've now achieved my text in a downward direction, but my columns are still a little bit too broad. So let me show you a quick and easy way to change that. I highlight by clicking in this top corner here all of the cells that are in my document, and then when I go to any of the barriers between one column and another, can you see I get this little line with arrows either side of it? I do that, I simply double click, and you will see that Excel has automatically arranged those so that they are the exact width of my widest piece of text. Now when I insert my ticks in these rows, it's in a much more pleasing and usable format. In addition to recognizing lists and copying those across, I can use exactly the same principle with other forms of pattern. Have a look at the sheet now and you can see I've got some yellow squares and some green squares. Those are representing my two teams in my business and the days when they're available. And I've got a little single blue, that's when my trainees are in, and then I've got a solid grey band on Sunday because my business doesn't open on a Sunday. Now rather than trying to recreate that across the spreadsheet, we can use exactly the same principle. If I highlight all of these squares, I then go down and get my black cross up again, and then as I drag those across, you will see that pattern will get repeated across every single day. I've got every Sunday grayed out because that's the day my business is closed, and I can see when it gets to any particular week which teams I have available when I'm planning my staff rotas. Bruce, I have another question for you. My business only opens 5 days a week, Monday through to Friday. We're not open on a Saturday and Sunday, so I don't really want to have all of those Saturdays and Sundays on my staff rota. It just takes up too much space. Is there any way I can use your principle to get around that? Oh yes, there is. Let me show you. It's a slightly longer way of doing things, but we can still use our principle of patterns. Let me show you how I would amend this sheet. So first of all, we've got our Monday to Friday, which are the days we want. Now we can't simply copy that across because Excel will assume that we want Saturday and then Sunday. So this is how we would work it out. Highlight the cells Monday through to Friday, copy those cells and then paste them here, and when I press that you'll see I've got my 2 blocks of Mondays to Fridays only. Now when I highlight 2 of those blocks, Excel can now recognize my pattern, so when I drag across the sheet you will see that Excel is following Monday to Friday, Monday to Friday, Monday to Friday, because it understands that I only need those days of the week. So that sorted the days out. Now let's come to the months, or the dates rather. So of course this date is now wrong. We need to change this to the 8th of June. Here's a quick tip on how you might do that. I'm going to go to this cell, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in equals, I'm going to click on the previous Monday, and then I'm going to do +7. In other words, +7 days. And when I hit enter, you will see that that's changed that date to the 8th. Now I can simply drag that formula across for the week, and it will add that 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I now need to follow that same principle across the rest of these cells. So the way I would do that, I will copy what's in this cell, and then I'm simply going to paste it across here every Monday, paste that same formula in, and it will automatically follow, skipping those 2 dates of the weekend. So 12 jumps to 15, 19 jumps to 22. Something even more useful about taking this approach, when it comes to the next calendar month, because I've put a formula into these cells, the only dates I would actually need to change are these ones. Let's say that what we're going to put here is the 3rd of July. Then when I copy that across from Monday to Friday, you will see that all of those dates have immediately updated themselves to follow my required format. That really will save you a huge amount of time in the future. The final step in this process is, of course, our little patterns of when our staff are available, because of course we've still got those grey blocks. We can follow exactly the same patterning principle that we did previously and overwrite the old information. So I'm highlighting my Monday to Friday cells. I'm going to the bottom corner to get my black cross up, and here I am dragging that data across, and you will see that I've simply now got my patterns all the way across, simply Monday to Friday. Now it's a little bit confusing looking at this because one week runs into another week, so my final finishing touch for today is to simply highlight some little colours here in these columns, nothing too dramatic, simply so that every other week I've coloured a different shade, and that helps us to see at a glance when one week ends and another week's beginning. Nice, clear, simple way of viewing that. I hope that today's walk through the use of lists in Excel and also using that little black cross for copying across patterns and indeed formulae has proved to be useful to you. As usual, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to be in touch with the KEC team and we'll do our best to answer your queries. You know the email address, but just to remind you, it's very simply kec@nelsoncollege.ac.uk. We'd love to hear from you. Have a good rest of the week. This presentation remains copyright of Nelson College London, who retain all rights in respect of its use.